members. It's Kevin Eunice with Empire State Development representing Howard Zemsky. Before I call the meeting to order, I would note for the record that I will serve as the acting chairman for this meeting. I now call the meeting to order of the members of the New York Job Development Authority for Monday, June 27, 2016. The members have received the written materials in advance of this meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. I'd like to note we welcome public comment on the items on the following agenda. To ensure maximum opportunity for participation, speakers representing themselves may speak for up to 2 minutes, and those representing groups may speak up to 4 minutes with one speaker per group. Speakers' comments may only address the items being considered at today's meeting. Before we begin with the substantive portion of today's meeting, I will ask the members whether anyone has any potential conflicts of interest with respect to any of the items on the agenda. If so, I will ask you to please make an appropriate disclosure at that time. We will then be sure that you may recuse yourself from any discussion or vote with regard to such items. Anybody? Hearing none. The first item on today's agenda is the approval of the minutes of the April 25th, 2016 members meeting. Are there any questions, comments, additions, or deletions? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Now I'll ask Kathleen Mize to present an item relating to the authority's annual financial reports. Kathleen, thank you.
Thank you and good morning. The Public Authorities Law requires annual approval by the authority members and certifications by the Chief Executive Officer and the Chief Financial Officer or other designated finance officer of certain financial reports. The reports consist of financial information set forth in the combined financial statements and independent auditor's report, the audit report as prepared by the authority's independent audit firm, EFPR Group, LLP. The audit report for the fiscal year ended March 31, 2016 contains an unmodified, clean opinion reflecting that the combined financial statements present fairly, in all material respects, the financial position, results of operations, and cash flows of the authority. In addition, the independent auditor's report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance, addressing whether control deficiencies or material weaknesses in internal control exist, did not identify any deficiencies that would be considered to be material weaknesses. The audit firm was able to obtain reasonable assurance that the authority's financial statements are free of material misstatement by performing tests of compliance with certain provisions of laws, regulations, contracts, and grant agreements, including the authority's investment guidelines and other matters. Non-compliance with any of these could have had a direct and material effect on the financial statements. The testing revealed no instances of non-compliance or other matters that are required to be reported. Included in the materials presented is the complete audit report for the fiscal year ended March 31, 2016. Just want to note that the preparation of the audit report included approximately 32% participation by an MWBE firm. The audit committee of the authority has reviewed and approves the audit report. Staff is available to answer any questions anyone may have. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathleen. Are there any questions from the members with regard to this item? Are there comments from the public with regard to this item? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Benson Martin will now present an item relating to the re-examination, re-adoption of JDA's mission statement and related performance measures, and the acceptance of the fiscal year 2015-16 performance measurement report. Benson, when you're ready, please begin.
Thank you. Good morning. The members are requested to confirm their re-examination of JDA's mission statement and performance measures and re-adopt the mission statement and performance measures without amendments. By way of background, this reexamination ensures that JDA complies with this obligation under New York State Public Authorities Law, Section 2824-A, in a timely manner. Please note, however, that the board can reexamine and amend JDA's mission statement and performance measures at any time during the year if necessary. The members were provided the mission statement and performance measures in their board materials. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the members with regard to this item?
No, but yes, I should say. Could we just have somebody review the answer to performance measures?
Sure. So in fiscal year 2015-16, the authority continued its efforts to expand the authority's loan portfolio and increase awareness of the authority's products in the lending and business communities throughout the state. During this period, the members approved loans for 5 projects, evidencing firm commitments from responsible financial sources for a total project cost, exclusive of any loan request from the authority. Closing of authority loans and disbursement funds occurs upon project completion. 2 previously approved projects reached completion during fiscal year 2015-2016. The loan closing occurred in a timely manner. The total JDA board approved 5 loans, $10.9 million. This past year, we closed on Merrill Realty. That project created 35 jobs. It retained 35 jobs, and created 10 additional jobs. We also closed on a small manufacturing on Long Island, Rising Sun. That retained 19 jobs and created 3. So for the aggregate number of transactions closed was 2. The amount of private capital invested was $4.9 million. No loans are transaction. No loans are delinquent. And the number of transactions approved by the authority, as reported, was 10.
Could I just make a request that we do this every year, correct?
Correct.
It would be, I think, really helpful if, I know you prepare a summary.
Yes.
If you could circulate that to the board prior to this, as a more detailed summary as you have with listing the number of loans that have been approved, because right now we have how many in the pipeline?
Well, if we start from, because I do have it detailed, and I can send it out to you, obviously, I'll send it to all the board members, but if you go from the third quarter of 2013, we've approved a total of 43 loans, $35.4 million in loan activity from the JDA. Banks have contributed $33.8 million. The equity fund, the owners, has $14 million, and New York State has contributed $2.6 million in loans and grants. So total activity during this period is $85.2 million. That does not include the projects that are being presented to the members today.
The 85, it includes the other sources.
Yes, yes.
But from JDA's funds, how much?
$35.4 million.
Okay. And you have a schedule about
Yes.
when you anticipate. But what I'm asking is, if it's okay with the other board members, I think it would be helpful to get that spelled out and more detailed prior to this meeting.
Yes, absolutely.
So, can somebody make a note of that? Whoever.
I made a note, and
Okay.
it'll have
Okay. Is that
Great. Yep.
great? Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Ray. Are there any further questions from the members? Tony?
Yes, when we look at these performance measures, do we report, we ultimately, I see where we want to report on the outcome, the ultimate outcome, I see it in terms of the jobs. Is it possible when you prepare a report that the plan could be put there, and then so therefore board members could look at kind of plan versus what actually took place? I note that relative to, jobs created. Initially, there's a planned jobs created, and then there's an ultimate jobs created. Leveraged resources, there's a planned leveraged resources, and then an ultimate leveraged resources. So when we just look at the measures themselves, the report that was requested, if it could be laid out, kind of bulleted like the measures themselves, and where you could at least get a sense of what the plan number is. So even though jobs may not be readily available right now, or some of these things may not be, there should be these plan numbers, and is that even feasible to be included in the performance report itself?
So, Tony, what you're asking about is commitments versus actuals?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Benson, would we have to amend the performance measurements to collect that, or is that something we can just provide?
I think that's something we can just
provide.
provide.
Okay. Yeah, so
Did we-
we'll I'm sorry, Emily, go ahead.
Something to I just raise it as a consideration, not as a can we do it, but it would be helpful to understand how close we are to achieving the goal of the investment if we could see what the intention was.
Oh, I
Yeah.
agree. I think that's a great, addition to it. Is there somewhere in here that we should formally say that this will be presented or the results will be presented to the board on an annual basis? I don't know if that's appropriate to put in here or not.
Are you asking to, if you're asking to amend the measurements, then we need a new resolution. But I
So
don't
Benson,
think. Yes.
for purposes of meeting our obligation,
Yes.
which was what, next week?
Correct.
Why don't we, if I would recommend that we vote and act on these measures, and then we can look at amending the measures between now and the next board, and we'll consult with the board members to make sure we're capturing what folks want.
Yeah, that's fine.
Does that work?
Yeah, that would
Works for me.
address. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, me too.
Great. Okay, great. Thank you. Are there any other questions from the members? Are there any comments from the public with regard to this item? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Benson will also present the next item on today's agenda, an item relating to the appointment of members to the Audit, Finance, and Governance Committee. Benson?
The members are being requested to approve the appointments of Howard Zemsky, Empire State Development's President and Chief Executive Officer and Chair of the JDA, and Maria T. Vullo, Superintendent of the New York State Department of Financial Services, to the Audit, Finance, and Governance Committee of the JDA. By way of background, the Audit, Finance, and Governance Committee was created as a non-voting committee of the members charged with keeping members informed of best practices, reviewing corporate governance trends, and meeting with the authority's independent auditors, among other things. As indicated in the materials provided to the members, Mr. Zemsky and Superintendent Vullo possess the necessary skills to understand the duties and functions of the committee, and we recommend their appointment. Thank you.
Thank you, Benson. Are there questions or comments from the members with regard to this item? Are there questions from the public with regard to this item? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. I will now like to call upon Ray Salaberios to present an item relating to the creation of the Loans to Lender program. Ray, when you're ready.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone.
you.
According to a report published in May 2014 and prepared by the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences at Cornell University, an analysis of the New York State accounting for 2011 confirmed that agriculture production, support services, and manufacturing directly generated $37.6 billion in economic activity within the agriculture industry, 115 jobs, and $9.8 million in gross domestic product. New York Job Authority statutes acknowledges that the agriculture industry is one of the largest industries in the state. Furthermore, it notes that the agriculture industry growth is often impaired by high interest rates and the inability of agribusiness firms to attract investment capital at reasonable terms and conditions. With that in mind, the New York legislature has specifically authorized JDA to create a loans lender program. To remain successful, agribusiness firms need to effectively and continuously adapt to changing economic conditions, consumer preferences, and technological advancements. In order to retain or grow their share of the consumer food dollar, small agribusiness require aggressive and innovative financing methods to expand existing facilities, purchase new machinery and equipment to expand existing markets, and develop new markets for their commodities and products. To address and help alleviate the economic barriers faced by many small New York State agribusiness owners, staff is seeking the Director's approval to establish a $10 million loans to lender program, which would be capitalized with existing available JDA funds. The fund will be to establish and promote, develop, and advance New York State agribusiness firms throughout the state. Staff believes that the ancillary economic benefit of the fund will further New York State's efforts to improve the general prosperity and economic welfare of the people residing within rural and surrounding communities. Via selected lenders, the fund will make loans available to small-scale agribusiness firms that are looking to expand but face steep economies of scale. The requested $10 million in JDA capital will be utilized to make a low-interest loan to selected third-party lenders as part of the requirements of the JDA statutes. The loan capital will help expand the selected lenders' capital base and increase access to capital for New York State agribusiness owners. While initially requesting up to $10 million in JDA capital, staff will only utilize $6 million of the approved $10 million funds for the first 5 years in order to assess the success of the program. Loans to these selected lenders will be made at an interest rate of 1% with a 10-year term. Terms may be extended if performance standards as established by the JDA staff and articulated within the loan agreements are met. The fund will offer selected lenders in different locations of New York State up to $2 million in loans to be earmarked for lending under the fund. We provided a list of prospective lenders for the members to review. All funds should be deployed within 18 to 24 months after execution of the loan agreement. The terms of the loans to lenders will be 10 years, and at the JDA staff's discretion, an extension up to 4 years could be granted if the borrower is not in default of the loan agreement. Loan advances will be subject to the agreed upon provisions of the loan agreements, and funds will be advanced in 3 installments to be dispersed within 24 months of the signed loan agreement. The initial advance will be equal to 33.3% of the loan amount. The second advance will be for an additional 33.3%. And the third advance will equal the undispersed portion of the loan. For the second and third advances, the borrower will have to represent that it has dispersed at least 70% of the aggregate of previous advances. The lenders will cap interest rate charged to potential borrowers at 8.5%. Staff recommends approval of the JDA Loans to Lender program based on the fact that New York State's agriculture industry is an economic engine driving growth and expanding opportunity. The JDA Loans to Lender program will support for crucial funding to projects designed to help agribusinesses expand and grow their operations while creating and retaining employment throughout New York State. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Ray. Are there questions or comments from the members with regard to this item? Tony Joseph.
Could you just repeat the rate structure again? For a 10-year term, I heard the maximum 8.5%, but what's the minimum rate, and what do we think these loans will be? They'll be lent at.
We're going to provide the loans to the lender at 1% for a 10-year term. The expectation is that the range of the loans, because of the cost of capital so low, will range anywhere from 5.5% to 7%. Some of the lenders have cited a higher rate, but that's the range that we expect. We gave them a little leeway. 8.5 is still well within reason in this marketplace. But anywhere between 5.5% to 7% is where we expect the average loan to be.
Thank you.
And Ray, can you go through, is it your understanding that the various lenders who are going to participate are all going to be vetted through DFS and in terms of their suitability?
Right. If the banks that we're talking to, we're going to obviously work with the Department of Financial Services to make sure they're in good standing with New York State. The CDFIs, we'll work with the CDFI funds to make sure they are following and are in good standards with the CDFI fund. We're going to require everyone to provide financial statements. So we're going to do an in-depth review like we would do any lender, any borrower that's come for JDA funds. So if similar to the projects that we provided in the past, we do our due diligence, do the underwriting, make sure everything is where it needs to be before we move forward with the loan request.
And Ray, these are the loans that the lenders are going to be making are loans that have no collateral, correct?
Well, no, in some cases, if the loans for machinery equipment, the machinery equipment will be collateral. If it's for renovating the property, they'll take the leasehold improvements on the property.
So I think I'm confused because does that mean we're setting up these lenders to be competition for our program?
No.
If they're going to get a lien on something?
Well, I think the reason we set this program up is because we don't play well in that field, in that small market. So these lenders will be playing in a market it's right now is underutilized because of access to capital. So in order for a lender to feel comfortable making a loan, he's going to ask for personal guarantees from the borrower. He's going to ask for any collateral he can get, so his position will be collateralized and he feels more comfortable moving forward.
But our risk is to the bank.
Our risk to the bank. The bank has to pay us back.
Mm-hmm.
So the bank has to do his due diligence to make sure that the money they're lending out will be paid back to them.
Right. Even if the loan defaults to them, they're still obligated to
Yes,
us.
yes.
It doesn't run through us.
Right.
We don't share in that risk.
No, the risk is totally with the bank and the lenders.
And if you set up any criteria that you've given the DFS, other than I don't know what good standing means, but I know they can't share regulatory exam scores, but maybe there's a way to say that these are satisfactory or past type of credits as far as the banks go.
Well,
They could just say yay or nay.
Yeah, what we figured is if this is approved, we will have the process now of having conversations with DFS, with the control of the currency, with the CDFI funds to make sure, and also going out and marketing and finding the lenders. Right now, there's great demand in the Southern Tier and in Cattaraugus County. Did I say that right? Cattaraugus County, for lenders who think this is a great program and they want to apply for loans. So we've worked with agencies in the Southern Tier, actually worked with the agencies in the Finger Lakes. So we got to find the lenders first, but we're going to have the criteria set up with conversation with DFS, Control of the Currency, and the CDFI fund.
Now, the other consideration is not just sort of their credit worthiness, which is important, their safety and soundness, but also you may want to, which is publicly available, ensure that you set a standard for what their CRA rating is. And I don't know if any of these loans will even qualify. They may actually have the benefit of actually helping to qualify some of these for these banks' CRA credit for the loans that they make.
If they're national.
We believe they're accurate in that in the rural communities, loans in rural communities are stressed communities because of the way the CRA is set up. I mean, it's more than just minority businesses and women-owned businesses.
Yeah.
Also, so the communities, the rural communities that we think most of these transactions will happen in, would give the bank the opportunity to claim a CRA credit for it.
If they, well, maybe. I mean, it's complex.
Right.
With CRA, right. Does the agricultural department, think that this is a program that'll be well received?
Yes, there's a need out there for this additional funding source, and we support this program. We think it's a good idea.
And do you think the 8.5 cap is reasonable?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it seems, given the cost of money, it seems a little high, but it provides flexibility, and I think it's within a reasonable range.
Great. Any further questions or comments? Are there comments from the public with regard to this item? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
Second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. Ray will present an item relating to the Intergrow Holding Company. Ray, you're on.
Yes, thank you. The report concerns proposed New York Job Development Authority loan for the amount of $5.7 million. The $5.7 million loan is to be used for the purchase of land and the construction of a new facility located in Western New York. The total project cost is $33.1 million. Integral Holding Company is a hydroponic tomato grower that produces and sells high-quality tomatoes on the vine and beefsteak tomatoes on a wholesale basis to large grocery chains located throughout the eastern United States, including Wegmans, Hannaford, and Aldi's. The company began its operation in 1998 with a facility in Portersville, New York. The success of that operation led to the construction of a similar operation in 2003 in the town of Gaines, New York. In 2014, the company extended its growing season capabilities and remained competitive in the marketplace. The $14 million project was completed in early 2015. The facility now totals 55 acres. Combined with the Portersville greenhouse, Integral now has 69 greenhouse acres. With growing demand for its products and solid profitability, Integral has made the decision to significantly expand its operations with the new town of Webster facility. The company will purchase a 115-acre site and develop a total of 25 acres of growing and support space. This is expected to be supplemented in 2019 by a second phase on the Webster site of an additional 25 acres. The 50 acres will be added to the existing total of 69 acres, allowing production to be increased by over 50%. New employment is estimated to be 100 new permanent full-time employees, 50 in Phase 1, 50 in Phase 2. All permanent employees receive company-paid health insurance at 70% of cost, paid holidays, and paid vacation time. The project would include growing, packing, and administrative space, the purchase and installation of lighting, heating, and irrigation systems, and the purchase of new machinery and equipment. The Webster expansion will allow Integral to provide more locally grown produce to satisfy the Northeast region's growing demand for year-round production. Food safety, product quality, and traceability are extremely important to produce consumers who highly value the locally grown produce and service Integral provides. Based on the company's 1A rating, the Integral currently generates sufficient cash flow from operations to service all the projected debt, with a project debt service of 1.2%. Staff believes the company is fiscally strong. Revenue growth has been strong, and cash flow projections indicate that the company will be able to service the debt going forward. JDA will have second lien positions on the to-be-constructed real estate collateral in Webster, the real estate collateral in Albion, New York, and the real estate collateral in Portersville, New York. Thus, there will be sufficient security for JDA to be completely collateralized. Integral meets JDA's loan-to-value requirement of 90%. With the project, Integral expects capacity to increase significantly from the existing levels. At the completion of the projects, 150 full-time jobs will be retained, and expected that 50 new jobs will be created over the upcoming 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Are there questions or comments from the members with regard to this item? Are there any comments from the public with regard to this item? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
Second?
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Lastly, Ray will conclude our agenda by presenting an item relating to the Empire Farmstead Brewery. Ray.
Thank you. In October 2014, the JDA board approved a $3.5 million loan for the benefit of Empire Farmstead Brewery. In November of 2015, the JDA approved an additional $450,000 JDA loan, again for the benefit of Empire Farmstead Brewery. As of March 2016, the project is nearing completion, and the owner has once again come to JDA to request the authorization of an additional $450,000 in JDA funds to take out 60% of an additional $750,000 needed to complete the project. If approved, this will bring the total JDA loan amount to $4,449,300. The Town of Casanova Code Inspector recently informed the business owner in early 2016 of the necessity to cover the entire complex with a sprinkler system, not just the tasting room as originally planned. This contributed to an additional $46,000 water treatment system being needed and an additional $75,000 in pneumatic piping to the overall budget. Additionally, the local water was found to be unsuitable for mass production brewing once the owner was able to prepare and taste a first batch of beer. To remedy this, a 36,000 yeast pitch fermenter and a 55,000 clean-in-place pipe installation were required. We have listed for them in the materials how the balance of the $750,000 will be spent and throughout the project. Based on conversations with the lead bank and the business owner, JDA has determined that the project is 90% completed. The company has made evident progress thus far at the site, investing substantial equity thus far. And if JDA does not allow for the increased financing, the participating bank, in this case its community bank, will not extend its portion of the additional funds necessary to complete the project. The loan of value is over the JDA limit, but within the cost of the project. The debt service coverage with the increased amount is still within JDA guidelines. JDA staff recommends approval of the additional amount. I'd like to add that at the outset of this project, we were a little skeptical about going forward with the additional funds, but in conversation with the bank, community bank, who is a strong proponent of this credit, and the borrower, we felt that the additional funds were necessary and warranted to complete the project.
Why didn't Oneida Bank actually increase their loan more?
I guess they were at the same vein. They wanted more participation from New York State. They didn't want to go about it on their own. As we started,
Well,
I guess
not at their own, but they have 30% and we have 60%, right?
Right. Well, when we started the project, we had that ratio of 60 to 30%. So the bank wanted to continue with that process, understanding that's within the JDA guidelines. And now Oneida Savings Bank is now Community Bank.
Oh, the name's changed?
Yes. Community Bank took over Oneida Savings Bank. So now it is Community Bank is the bank that's involved and is the bank of record. And I've had conversations in Syracuse with the folks in Community Bank, and they are for the project, and they've actually extended him a line of credit and other funds above and beyond what they extended to him through this JDA loan.
And so Community Bank, because Oneida, or how do you say it,
Oneida Savings Bank.
How large was that bank?
Small bank, I believe they have assets of less than $3 billion. So it wasn't community banks are usually judged assets from $10 billion and below.
Right.
So Oneida Savings Bank was within the $2 to $3 billion range. Community Bank, I believe, is between $3 and $5 million, and are expanding throughout the state.
All right. So in this resolution, in the sources, that should be stated somewhere in here. You know what I mean? So it's clear that it's because everything in here still refers to Oneida on the new. I don't know when this occurred, but
Just recently. So.
is it a done deal?
Yes.
So, I think you just need to add that in here because otherwise we're saying we have a participant that doesn't exist anymore, which, it's probably not a good thing. Right? So,
that merger is recently just completed, so it was...
Well, that's fine, but it's just that if it is completed, it should be reflected in here, is
Yes.
all I'm saying. So who will...
Well, staff will, working with our legal, we'll make sure we add the proper language.
So
to the resolution.
legal, can we, somehow be able to change that? Because
Hey, Antop, maybe I would assume that in any takeover of Oneida by community, all the obligations are clearly enunciated as being transferred from one to the other, just so folks are comfortable knowing that there isn't, despite maybe the language might need to be changed to community, that all of the responsibilities of of Oneida have been transferred to community.
Sure.
yeah.
Great. Are there any other questions?
It's just that the only reason I raise it is this is a new loan from us, and the amount has gone up. And you just said Oneida or community won't do their side unless we do ours.
Right.
So I just think, just for good governance, I think it needs to be reflected.
Will, I just note that although the takeover did happen, the Oneida Savings folks are still using their Oneida Savings card. They haven't got new business cards yet. So it's a recent transaction. We was up there recently, and I was surprised by it, but they said they're just moving a little slowly.
Yeah.
To get things done.
Okay. So could I make a recommendation that in passing this resolution, something is added, I don't know how we do that, but is there something specifically we should say?
Sure, we can make the resolution at the meeting subject to the revision of the materials to reflect the change in ownership of the bank.
Okay. Is that okay with,
Yeah,
Mr.
of course.
Chairman?
We'll make the appropriate changes. Anything further? Any comments or questions from the public with regard to this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
motion?
Second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. Thank you, everyone, for your participation today, and thank you for your flexibility. I know the scheduling can be tricky with this tight a number in order to make our meetings happen. So thank you for your flexibility.